Hello and welcome to the John's Jam Sessions podcast with me, host John. And today I've got my fiance here with me, Gabby. Hello, Gabby.
Hello, John.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm alright, other than being a bit ill.
Same old, isn't it?
I'm sniffling quite a bit.
So, this week I came up with a bit of an interesting idea, and that was to kind of do a review of a classic album, but also at the same time kind of have you on for like a first ever reaction, first ever time listening to this album. I thought it'd be quite interesting because, with this being a music podcast, obviously, people we have on when me and Mike are talking, it's very deeply ingrained in the music and we're getting into the nitty gritty. But sometimes I just kind of wonder to myself, what does just the casual, someone who just listens to music for the sake of listening to music, just for, enjoyment and isn't as invested in it as myself or others. What are your kind of thoughts and feelings on this music?
Yeah.
Obviously, the album we're going to talk about is Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. Came out in 1982, and I've left you kind of as blind as possible. I haven't given you any background on the history or any of the band members or anything like that. I want it to be pretty fresh and you to kind of walk in with as little knowledge as possible, really. So, yeah, as I say, this album is kind of regarded amongst a lot of people to be, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus Christ.
whenever you look at like, when kind of like these established kind of, like the Rolling Stone or like the Enemy or something like that, give out a list of top 100 albums. This album is going to be somewhere in that list. It is known as the album that kind of really kicked off the band's career. It was the first album with singer vocalist Bruce Dickinson. Before that, they had a more punkier sound of Paul Di'Anno. So, but before we get into kind of the review again, you only really knew Iron Maiden by name, didn't you?
Well, yeah, obviously, like, me dad and me uncle had a big... They listened to this, like, similar music to what you listen to, so I've heard the odd thing here and there.
Yeah,
I've probably heard a lot more songs than I think I have,
yeah. But
but...
you've never really been super like conscious or
No, like,
paying attention,
like as what you say, like, I'm not a big music head, like how you can come home and put a record on
Hmm.
and sit there and listen to it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was hard for me to just sit through these 8 songs because I'm not that type of person.
Yeah, it's a good job. It was a quite short album. So, again, history of yourself with this album. You're pretty much walking into it blind, brand new. History of myself. Like this is the interesting thing. Like with me, there's going to be so much bias, so much nostalgic bias. I can't even remember when I first picked up this album. I knew I had it on CD, and I knew I used to put it in my little portable CD player, them little Walkman things.
Yeah,
I took it on a Scouts camping trip, so I must have been early teens when I first heard this album, and it used to be in heavy rotation. I used to listen to it non-stop, morning, noon, and night. In more recent years, like I said on a previous episode, I don't really listen to Iron Maiden very much these days. They're obviously still one of my favourite bands and really shaped kind of my taste in music and how I listen to music and even my musical influences. But I kind of grew a little bit apart from them and kind of went into other kind of avenues of music. So I was glad to kind of come back to this and come back to it after I can't even remember the last time I did this album. I can't even remember when I bought the vinyl. But let's just get right into it, eh?
yeah.
So the opening track, Invaders, and I've got to be honest straight out the bat, it's not my favourite track. It's funny because I think it's a really weak opener to a really great album. I think the verses seem like they'd be better suited for Di'Anno, and it sounds like something that was probably written before this album, more suited for Paul Di'Anno and his style of singing. It does sound more similar to their previous albums. I can't stand the chorus. That the kind of invaders raping. It really just makes me like cringe, like makes me toes curl. Like I think it's like a really cringy chorus. In a way, I guess it's best to get the worst out the way. There's still some solid work in there. All the musicianship is brilliant. All the instrument work is great on my end. But for me, it is hands down easily the worst track on the album. What did you think of Invaders?
Well, I have made a note saying, like, if I've heard it before, it wasn't very memorable to me. Like, I've not sat there and gone, oh, I think I've heard this before.
I highly doubt you have.
To me, it was literally like someone was listening to it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I will say is that if you'd sat me down and gone, right, I'm just putting vinyl on now, I'm not telling you who it is.
Yeah.
As soon as you played that song, I'd know it's Iron Maiden.
Oh,
Because I think the lead singer's got a very, very distinct voice.
oh, he has, yeah. It's iconic.
Can't remember what his name was, like you said it a few minutes.
Bruce Dickinson.
Yeah. I have put that it wouldn't be in my top 3. Like, I don't think it's a bad song. But I did think maybe this and one a little bit later on might have just been a bit of like a filler song for the album.
It's interesting that you say that because I think I might know what the other song might be.
We'll have to see them all. Like,
yeah.
And I don't know. It's just the only thing I got from it was that either I've not heard it before or I don't remember it.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of my least favourite ones.
Yeah. Well,
on the album.
Pretty much similar thoughts on it, isn't it? So so far, we're kind of on the same path. Then we get into Children of the Damned, and for me, it's like now we're talking. I love the slower pace to this track. I think Children of the Damned is a real underappreciated Maiden track. I think Bruce sounds amazing on this, and the chorus I think is like so powerful. I love them swift chord changes. Everything sounds great on this track. I love the guitars kind of twiddling away in the verse. I think it's a banger myself. Haven't got much more to say. What did you think of Children of the Damned?
Well, again, I said that it's got a very distinct voice, so I'm probably just going to say that for all of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's always the same thing. I did like the intro a lot more to this song and the rest of the song, actually, because of the slow pace to it.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like as if I remember it slightly. Like when I was listening to it, there was like a little bell ringing in the back of my head where I was like, I'm sure I've heard this somewhere before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like I'd be able to sit there and sing the lyrics along with you or anything like that. Like it's not ingrained that much into my mind and that. I like the solo with guitar parts on them. But one thing I did think when I was listening to this song is that I think it might be actually where I probably heard it or remember it from. It strikes me as the type of song that you'd hear in like a film or a TV show.
Yeah, it does sound very like kind of soundtrackish, doesn't it? I think Bruce Dickinson's kind of operatic style vocals do give everything like a sense of like epicness and
Like I could imagine like they would use it in something like a Mad Max or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
I think that's quite the compliment. And anything else to say about Children of the Damned, or should we move on to the next track?
No, not really. I just. Like I said, it's not my favourite, but I think it was a good one.
Yeah, you liked it. Okay, so the next track is The Prisoner. The song is based off the TV show, the same name, The Prisoner. It was filmed in Wales in the 1960s. Starts off with a sample from the show. I'm not a number, I'm a free man. Classic, well-known quote.
Just before you carry on, I did actually put a note saying that I thought this starting was a bit odd, but I'm not sure if it was from something.
Yeah, they do use a lot of samples, especially like earlier on in the classic stuff. They like kind of like snippets from films or like spoken word. There is a few little samples and intros in these early Iron Maiden songs. I think it kicks in with a great intro with the drums, the guitar, and bass. I really like that intro. I think it's a really good hook, like kind of catchy part of the song. It feels like a pure classic rock song to me, up there with like kind of like AC/DC and other kind of just kind of classic rock. The pace is picked up quite a bit, but like unlike with Invaders, I don't think Bruce is rushing his lines. The lines are taking their time.
Yeah.
He's taking the time he needs to get the delivery out. I think the chorus is really catchy and quite boppy, to be honest. I think Steve Harris's bass just blends and glues the music together really well. The guitar solo isn't the most memorable one off the album, but it's still a classic Iron Maiden sound, the guitar solo. What did you think of The Prisoner?
I think my views are a bit similar, but I do disagree on the guitar solo part. I actually like that the best.
Did you? Yeah.
Song.
All right. Okay.
I did put, I don't really understand the concept of the song or the meaning behind the song, but I didn't know that it was linked to the TV show or it was used for the TV show.
Yeah, I was deliberately not saying anything because I wanted to see if you could pick anything up out of the songs. Obviously, with that one being based off a 1960s TV show, neither of us have or ever probably will watch.
Well, considering you
You
showed
know.
me an album from, did you say 1982?
1982.
And I was born in 1994.
Yeah,
Kind of like
yeah.
stretching it a bit on yourself.
Yeah, this album's
What's
nine years older than me.
12 years older than me.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, again, not too much to say on The Prisoner. I just think it's a great solid track. Now we're getting to 22 Acacia Avenue. Before I tell you what this song's about, what do you think this song was about? Did you pick up on any of the lyrics or any of the?
I didn't really pick up on any of the lyrics or the meaning behind the song. And I'm going to say something, but I know that this artist was obviously long after this band came out.
Mm-hmm.
But this song really reminded me a bit of the style Tenacious D. Like, I'm assuming that Iron Maiden have had a big impact on Jack Black.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
And that, like, I could see Tenacious D doing a cover of this song, or maybe even taking a sample from it and putting it in one. Well, maybe not now.
I guess now, yeah, now you say that, I can see that. So this song's based on a brothel in London on the street, 22 Acacia Avenue, and a prostitute that they've kind of dubbed Charlotte. She's kind of a recurring character in the song. She comes back in later albums. She was originally off the first album on a song called Charlotte the Harlot. So a little bit dated there, but this song is dark. From kind of like the scratching guitar intro to the subject matter. This song to me feels like really sinister and a great sense of dread.
Yeah, I did get that. I kind of like when I was listening to it, I did kind of think like it's the thing. It made me think of Halloween.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great, like, I can really like visualize in my head kind of like the dark, grimy kind of London street with that red glow in the window, and all the
dark street,
dirty kind of
post that works.
Yeah. The obviously gritty kind of dark subject matter is basically about kind of the troubled life of a prostitute.
Yeah.
I think it's just another classic banger for me. Great melodic solo. I much prefer when the solos are played, a lot more slower and melodic to when it's just the constant shredding like. Yeah, I think it really stands out, and again the bass guitar, me being a bassist, I've always got the ear out for that. Really stands out to me on here. So, anything else you've got to say on 20? How do you feel about the song now? You know what it's about compared to before.
I understand it a bit more now, and the fact that it's got like a bit of a story behind it. Because to be honest, this one did feel like as if it was the longest song out of all the songs.
It was the second longest one.
Now that I can actually put a bit more of an image to it, I'd probably say I like it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I obviously didn't understand why they were doing such a gritty kind of song.
Yeah.
And that
sexy, is it?
I did put a note saying that I do quite like it, but I don't know if I'd be able to put it in my top 3 because there's a toss up with another song a bit later on that I'm a bit like.
Right. So far, have we got anywhere near the top 3 so far out of all these songs?
Yeah, I think the next one actually.
Right, okay, interesting. Yeah, again, as I say, I think it's definitely meant to be written with a dark kind of, the tragedy of it. Again, I don't know fully myself. Maybe it was intended to be sexy, and it was looking back at the good times down on Acacia Avenue. But for me, it really does feel kind of like dark, grimy, sinister, and kind of tragic, really. So it's one of my favourite songs by them, I have to say. And then we get into Number of the Beast. I didn't even know where to start. This is definitely one of the songs that awoken my love for music and rock music. Amazing track. Bruce's scream after the intro just seems to go on forever, and that really tortured him in the studio to do that. It took him
Yeah, I can
loads of
imagine.
times to do that. The pace is quick and frantic. It's perfect storytelling through music. It's basically just the devil, hell, the
Yeah.
beast, 666, all that. Everything on the song spot on. It's probably one of the greatest metal songs ever. Enough said on my end, really. It's like sometimes the better the song, the less I've kind of got the less I've got to say, really. Your thoughts on Number of the Beast?
I'd probably say this one was my favourite out of the album.
Yeah.
But I think that also might be because, say if he didn't have the distinct voice, I still wouldn't knew this as Iron Maiden. Because I didn't he have a tour that was based around the Beast?
Oh yeah, the kind of term and the Beast comes up loads of times. Like after there's a greatest hits album like the Best of the Beast, and they have done tours, the Legacy of the Beast. This song is probably one of their most well-known songs.
Well, that's what I was going to put, because how I mentioned it might be like the first or the second song.
There was like a familiarity with it.
No, well, yeah, that as well. But how I said, like it sounded like something you'd use on a soundtrack.
Yeah.
I feel like as though a lot of people, maybe my age or younger, may have heard it somewhere like that, in a TV show or a film or something like that, blah, blah. I don't think that they've gone out and like genuinely listened to it at some point. So I think it's popular because, like you said, it's probably one of the greatest rock songs in your opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it might be popular because it's probably being used a lot in media or, something like that.
Yeah. And then we go straight from Number of the Beast into Run to the Hills, and oh my God, what a perfect back to back of songs. Again, this song for me is just perfect in every way. The subject matter again before I explain what it's about. Did you pick up on what the song is about?
No, we didn't pick up the concept of it or anything.
Yeah, well, it's basically the story of the Native Americans and the white man came from across the sea, brought misery. Okay. We fought them hard, we fought them well. So it's basically about the genocide, the war, about everything to do with the Native Americans.
I had an idea it was something like that, but I didn't know exactly
it certainly doesn't like belittle them. I think the best thing about Iron Maiden is I think they're great kind of storytellers through the music. I think that's what got them onto me at such an early age, because I always liked kind of music that was told the story more than just music that's just background noise kind of thing. In a way, it was quite progressive for the time. This is still the 80s with all these cowboy and Indian films. You still get some of them, and the cowboys are known as like the heroes, and the champions, and the Indians are like the baddies. So yeah, like quite progressive. The galloping bass riff, like bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum. The lyrics, the delivery, 10 out of 10 for me. Also worth noting that we're on the second half of the album now, and it's sounding just not, if not better than the first half. And with albums, as you may have noticed when I put them on, usually the longer you get into the album, the more it starts to kind of get a little bit, a bit ropey and a bit like, oh, I don't know these songs that well. These are getting a little, but the momentum of this album has just been very strong, very powerful. Thoughts on Run to the Hills?
I think with Run to the Hills, I remember the intro and I want to say the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
The most probably.
Yeah.
But again, like I said previously, I wouldn't be able to sit there and sing the lyrics along with you and things like that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm sure after a few, I think the thing is with Iron Maiden, it has been a criticism of them. Is the choruses are usually just the title of the song, sung over and over and over. So it's it's like Run to the Hills.
Yeah.
So I think obviously with it just being your first proper listen, you're not really going to pick up on it, but it, like over time, you'll be able to pick up the choruses quite well.
I did put that this was my second favourite from the album.
Yeah, all right, very good choice.
And again, I don't know if it's like I said, Iron Maiden's just had a big influence on him, but it made me think of Tenacious D again.
Yeah,
it's just very...
it's probably because Tenacious D are probably like the band that you've actually heard that are most kind of like similar to this style of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny really because like obviously Tenacious D are like a more like comedy centered band, so
Well, they were.
Well, yeah, currently they are in a bit of trouble, but who knows what will happen with that. And then we get into Gangland. Great drum intro, but I've got to be honest, I always forget this song exists. It's quite a bit of a forgettable song, and compared to what we've just had before it, like the last say 3, 4 songs, even it just does not hold up amongst the rest. It feels like it would have been suited again, completely lost on you, but would have been suited better in the Diano era in the albums before this. I mean, it's still solid, and I prefer it to Invaders at least, but I feel like it does disrupt the flow of the album a little. I do think the drums stand out on it though, and again, I think from a music standpoint, I still think it's quite a solid track. Was this the song that you hinted at before that you thought was the second filler on the album?
Yeah, I've actually put that this is my least favourite song.
All right, okay.
And I don't know if it's just because, obviously, like we've said, I'm not like that big of a music head, and you wouldn't say I'm typically into this type of music. I do listen to it, but I wouldn't choose to put it on out of everything. I don't know, it was just when I was listening to it, it kind of felt like as if they were a bit like, oh, we want this instrument, so let's just throw it in, or we want to have a bit of this instrument, so let's just throw that in. It just seemed a bit too, like, erratic for me at some points. It was just...
Yeah, I think, like I said, and again, you're not really going to quite understand the context of this, but this was the first album with a new singer, Bruce Dickinson, at the time. Previously, they had a different singer, and if you heard their albums, you'd think that this song would be more suited to how the last singer sang, because he did have his voice was more suited to more like kind of frantic delivery.
Yeah.
Whereas with Bruce Dickinson, he's better at like dragging out the lines.
Yeah.
He's better at, as I say, the operatic, big, booming, epic kind of singing style. Yeah. So when they give him these kind of like fast paced deliveries, like da 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 da, it just doesn't really flow too well with him.
That's what I mean. Like the song, I can't remember what it's called now. The one that was a bit slower paced.
What, the one after this?
No, beforehand.
Children of the Damned.
That's what I mean. I think I liked that one so much because I felt like he was better singing in that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, again, when a new member comes into the band, there's always going to be like teething problems, and I think when Bruce came in, there was a bit of like nervousness and a bit of anxiety, and I think he just kind of took a step back and did what he was told.
Yeah.
Whereas later on, as he got more comfortable in the band, he was allowed to speak out more. And I'm pretty sure that if he had that confidence when this album was getting made, maybe Gangland and Invaders would have been a bit different.
Yeah,
maybe it would have been a bit better. But bloody hell, it is a breeze of an album. You've got to admit, because we're on the last track already now. Hallowed be thy name. Again, like I said before, I really struggle to speak about the best songs because so much stuff comes to me head all at once, and I want to note everything down, but I don't just want to be like, I don't want to like commentate on every second of the bloody song. Before I explain the meaning of this song, did you pick up on the meaning of this song?
No.
No. So this song is basically about a man who's about to face the gallows. He's about to get hung. He's executed, and it's kind of the thoughts in his head, and him approaching, basically facing his fate and facing death, head on. I love this song. I think it's dark, sinister, the dread again of the intro. A song about a man about to face the gallows and accepting his fate of death. The guitars are just like pure evil, and that's something I'll bring this up in a minute. Kind of like the impact of this album around its release. But it really kind of suits kind of like that theme of like like you look at the artwork of the album cover, the devil and evilness and monsters and stuff. I really think the music matches the visual of the album cover. I kind of feel for the fictional character in this song. The lines, words escape me as I'm trying to speak, and if there's a God, then why would he let me go? Again, this is the longest track on the album, clocking in at just over 7 minutes, which, believe me, is child's play compared to later Iron Maiden albums where they're doing songs that are clocking in at about 15 to 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Something Maiden again becomes a lot more familiar with later on in her career. Solos galore, long instrumentals. What did you think of Hallowed Be Thy Name?
I did enjoy the intro a lot more than some of the other songs.
Yeah.
I also usually I don't like this in songs, but in this one I did like the fact that it went from slow to quite fast.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've explained the meaning behind it, I can see why they've done that as well.
Yeah.
But it's because it also wasn't too fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It kind of like just merged in nicely. I mentioned beforehand that there was one where I'd put it in third place, but I wasn't sure because there was another song that I would maybe put in third place, and this was the other one that I'd put there. So, I mean, I made a note saying that I liked the ending of the song to begin with, but then I felt like it went on for quite a while, but
I
know there's a story behind it. I see why they've done it now.
It is a very as I say, 7 minutes. Like later on, that is the standard for Iron Maiden. Back at this point in their career, that is kind of a long song. And again, this is why I thought it'd be interesting to kind of have this episode really, because the music you listen to will be singles and stuff that's given airplay on when you were a kid. Obviously, I'm guessing you must have listened to or watched Kerrang TV.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they're not really going to play long, drawn out songs. You're going to be used to that average standard of 3.5 to 4 minute tracks. So it's interesting to see, what long songs are like. Do they get like tiring? Do you get kind of like, oh my god, it's just going on forever? You're not kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because like we said, I'm not a music head. Like, say for example, like if I'm driving to work, it takes me about half an hour to drive to work.
Yeah.
Usually I'll pick 5 songs, so that's maybe a max of like 15 minutes of music.
Yeah.
And I won't go back and put more music on. I'll be like, right, that's my 5 songs done with, and turn it off. And then I'll just drive the rest of the way in silence. Whereas, like, I just couldn't imagine listening to, like, multiple songs that are, like, 7 minutes long. And
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. That's but yeah, that's it. That's the end of the album. So, Number of the Beast, I think, earns its spots on the greatest album lists of all time. So much amazing music and metal in a short, sweet 40-minute sprint. There's something I always go on about a lot is I don't like, I don't mind long songs, but I hate long albums. I hate albums that overstay the welcome. I hate albums that have loads of like filler and loads of like mid to kind of rubbish songs in it. If it wasn't for Invaders being kind of having that cringe for me and kind of Gangland and interrupting the flow, I would have easily, hands down, given this album a pure solid 10 out of 10. But I've got to be honest, I've got to knock it a point down to, I think, a pretty healthy, strong 9. I think this is the true start to like an everlasting legacy as well as the start of my musical path. I'm really glad I got to re-listen to the album because I don't tend to really come back to it in more recent years. I think it's also shifted a few albums around in my kind of list of Iron Maiden favourite albums. So, all in all, God's honest review of the album. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What would you rate it? Would you ever come back to this? Would you ever go further down Iron Maiden's discography?
Maybe for the sake of 2 of the songs, I would come back and listen to it.
Yeah.
If I had to rate it out of 10, probably about 7.5 or 8. But that's just because, again, it's not my type of music. I'm sure if it was, I'd be the same as you, like giving it a solid 9.
Yeah, to be honest, I think your review's been a lot more positive than I expected it to be. I didn't think I thought there were things that you would like about it, but I thought there was a lot you probably wouldn't have took too well to. I didn't know what you'd think about kind of like all the guitars and all the kind of guitar wankery in a way. You know what I mean.
Mm.
Um, I didn't know if it'd be too dated for you as well,
Yeah.
it being like a lot older than a lot of the music that you grew up listening to and obviously listen to now because you obviously listen to a lot more contemporary music than I do.
Mm.
So I didn't really know how that would affect it. Does it feel dated to you?
It does a little bit. Um, so when I say like like my dad and my uncle, and then like even like my cousin Aaron and people like that, listen to this type of music. What you got to bear in mind is as well, like I know you're probably gonna hate this, but like probably one of the artists that I remember most being played when I was younger was Queen. So that
Yeah.
like if we were talking about Queen, I'd be loving it. I'd be saying like, "Oh, I love this one, I love that one, and blah blah blah," and so on and so forth. I think it's just because like I don't feel like I can relate to it in any way. Like I don't sit there going, "Oh, I remember my dad playing this in the car" or anything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's no nostalgia for it to
he
me.
he is a big fan of them. I know that
Yeah,
for
I know.
he has a lot of the original albums on vinyl. It'd be interesting to see what he thinks of this episode, wouldn't it?
Well, they're on holiday. Well, they're on the way on holiday at the minute, aren't they? So.
Oh well, they have something to listen to on the plane. Yeah, so it was again. I've come out of this with I was a bit kind of like I wasn't worried because I'm going to be honest. I wanted your honesty. I wanted an honest review. I wanted to know what it was like for someone to kind of walk into this music kind of blind in a way. But I was expecting a lot more criticism than I've got really.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's a win, isn't it? Would you ever check it? Listen, at some point in your life, you're gonna hear more Iron Maiden, like it or not, aren't you? But does this give you like a sense of like, oh, I wouldn't, next time I'm like, oh, I might put a record on. Does this give you like oh, I wouldn't mind listening to another Iron Maiden album, or are you happy to just close the book here? Is this? I've heard Iron Maiden. I know what they've got to offer me. I'm satisfied.
No, I would like to listen to another album because, like you said, the lead singer came into the band on this album.
Mm.
So, like you said, he was kind of like just dipping his toes into the water a little bit, like seeing what he can do with the band and things like that. And
Yeah,
I'd like to see what they do when he does have a bit more, or he feels like he has a bit more of a say in how the music goes.
yeah.
But at the same, I don't think I'll do what you do, where you put vinyl on, you can literally just sit there and listen to it. I don't think I'd be able to do that.
I think there's plenty more hits in the catalogue that you would probably enjoy quite a bit. It's funny, really, because the top three songs for you are all the singles. They were all the singles that they released
Right.
for that album. So it does kind of, in a way, paint a picture of, the right songs to target to the right audience.
Well, can you name a few more of those songs now that you think I would know just from the title alone?
To be honest, I think them three are probably the most well known amongst people who don't know. The Trooper.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
What else would there be? 2 minutes to midnight.
It sounds familiar, but
Yeah.
anything like a minute.
I think after that, Fear the Dark. That's a massive one by them.
I don't know. This is why I'd have to listen to another album
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
like,
yeah. As I say, that they're a band that this album came out. The first two albums sound quite different to everything else because they had a different singer. This album all the way up to about 1990, they were all coming out kind of annually, and they don't change too much in sound or style. They're just kind of more the same. They're like these nice, kind of 40 to 50 minute length albums, and then you kind of get to like they start changing in the 90s. Bruce leaves in the mid 90s, and they release some absolute shite.
This
and
didn't last long then, did he? Like,
Well, he came back. Yeah,
oh,
he had a bit of a burnout. He dropped out. They replaced him with a singer, in which, in my opinion, just did not hold a candle to him. and he came back in about 2000, and they kind of had a bit of a comeback, but the music again changed quite a bit, and that's when he started going down kind of like the avenue of these longer, more drawn out songs. So I think I will expose you to some more Iron Maiden in the future. I think I'll probably put on the album that came on after this, Peace of Mind, and then I might put on Brave New World, or something from the more modern era, and see what you think, and maybe we can kind of have a catch up on the podcast, and see what you think of them albums.
I mean, I'm probably going to get ridiculed for this, or it's just going to show how much of a music head I am not. But who's the band that... Did you watch Stranger Things?
No, but I'll probably know who it is.
There was a band... Oh, God, what were they called now?
Metallica.
Is it Metallica? Yeah, they had their song got quite big because of Stranger Things again a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it got big because of Stranger. Yeah, it got a resurgence. Yeah. Metallica, they're a different beast in their own. To be honest, they're not my favourite band. To be honest.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I'm sure it was Metallica, and that's why I've not heard you listen to it before.
Yeah, as I say, there's quite a lot in kind of metal. To be honest, I'm not the biggest metal head. With like Iron Maiden's kind of like we're a stop at the door, really. Like I've never really been massive into Judas Priest, or as you say, Metallica, or there's a lot of other bands out there similar to kind of like Iron Maiden. I kind of more liked the metal that was coming out kind of when I was growing up. Stuff you'd obviously know, like System of a Down, and kind of like Korn, and kind of them kind of bands. But yeah, I think that'll do it. To be honest, a nice short review of a classic album. So thanks for sitting through that. Thanks for composing your notes, and giving us your thoughts. And again, I thought it'd be quite interesting to. It's quite hard to find people out there who haven't really heard these albums before. So it was. I think it's interesting to hear that kind of perspective.
I'm just hoping I'm not going to offend anyone by anything I've said. I don't think I've said anything too bad.
I really don't think you will at all, to be honest. I think you've been very positive, and kind of I think you've been very, very kind to this album, and from the sounds of it, it does sound like you quite enjoyed it. So
I mean, God forbid if you put a bloody Cure or what's the other one?
Placebo
on. I'm sorry, but
that's what I originally wanted to have you on for. Placebo, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, but I just can't. That song where he's singing about his computer thinks he's gay or something. It's just obscure. Like, I understand obscure music, but Jesus Christ.
Well, that's something all on its own. To be honest, I don't think the crossover between bands like Iron Maiden and The Cure are massive. I think I am more the exception than the rule, to be honest. So yeah, we'll leave it there then. So thanks for coming on, Gabby. And this has been the John's Jam Sessions podcast. Please follow us on Spotify. If you listen to the episode all the way through, please leave a 5-star review. Check us out on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, yada, yada, yada. Please check us out on YouTube. I've actually put up a new YouTube video today, doing a bit of urban exploring from a club that I brought back I mentioned in a previous episode. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.